A musical encounter between two worlds, Germany's National Youth Orchestra and the Ensemble Mongolism with Chinese composer Zulan. January 2015 in Bonn. Together with her husband, director Wu Ershan, Zulan is visiting the house where German composer Ludwig van Beethoven was born. The Beijing-based musician has been commissioned by Deutsche Welle to compose a work that is to debut at the Beethovenfest in September. Today, Zulan is tracing Beethoven's legacy in Bonn. Zulan began playing piano when she was just 5. Later, she studied classical Western music at conservatories in Beijing and Paris, so she's well-versed in the great German composer's works.
I'm especially interested in Beethoven's original scores. I've known Beethoven for a long time, but today I learned even more about him. I know some of his works very well, the piano sonatas, chamber music pieces, and symphonies. Visiting his house here today was very moving and helps me understand him better.
Zulan also paid a visit to Germany's National Youth Orchestra during a rehearsal, where she received a warm welcome.
Hello, my name is Zulan. I've come to meet you because in September you'll be performing my composition.
But before that happens, they'll meet again in the summer in Beijing, when Germany's National Youth Orchestra tours China. And until then, the musicians have a lot of rehearsing to do. Today's rehearsal has a very discerning listener, of course.
My impression of the orchestra is very positive. The pieces they played were difficult, and they did a wonderful job with them. In terms of their technical ability, the musicians perform at a high level. They're young people, so I think I can break new ground with them and compose something innovative for them.
We get to play wonderful pieces and go to China, so it's really exciting.
July 2015 in Beijing. The Chinese capital is home to some 20 million people. The streets are filled with traffic and smog, and it's over 30 degrees Celsius in the shade. Today, everyone who can heads to one of the city's 300 parks. It's an ordinary afternoon in Wanjing Park in northeastern Beijing. People from all walks of life come here to enjoy their hobbies or to just relax. Zulan often comes here to go for a walk with her young son Amila. The composer was born in Inner Mongolia and goes by the Mongolian name Zulan. However, she grew up in Beijing. Her Chinese name is Lujiajia.
Beijing is such a lively, varied city. Living here means having lots of opportunities for artistic expression. And there's a big art scene you can take part in.
Not far from Wanjing Park is the space where Zulan rehearses with her ensemble Mongolism. Like Zulan, all of the members are classically trained musicians. They describe their musical style as Western and Mongolian avant-garde. Hasbagen plays modenkur, or the horsehead fiddle. The ancient instrument is regarded as a symbol of Mongolia and will play a major role in the commissioned work.
My composition for the National Youth Orchestra will mainly feature Mongolian elements. I imagine that the orchestra will use its instruments to produce an authentic Mongolian sound.
Whether classical or Mongolian, Zulan uses everything at her disposal to create a unique sound. Like kumi, or Mongolian overtone singing. Using this ancient throat singing technique, Borchgin can produce two musical pitches at the same time.
The horsehead fiddle has two strings. They're made from hair from the tails of Mongolian horses. The fingering technique used to play this instrument is unique. It's not like any instrument in Western culture.
Mongolian music has many fans, in Beijing and around the world. Zulan and her ensemble have appeared at festivals all the way from New York to Paris.
I'm influenced by East Asian culture, and I'm Mongolian too. So the Chinese and Mongolian cultures are in my blood. But my musical training was primarily Western. The music I'm writing now combines Western compositional techniques with my own ethnic and cultural heritage.
It's not just the music of Mongolia that inspires Zulan and her band. After rehearsals, they often eat at this restaurant, which serves Mongolian food. And when the band performs here later in the evening, then their music is no longer avant-garde. It's traditional Mongolian folk music. Meanwhile, Germany's National Youth Orchestra is embarking on their great adventure, a tour of 7 Chinese cities. Its 68 musicians range from 14 to 19 years of age. They'll be on the road for 2 weeks. For most, it's their first trip to China. The annual summer tour is one of the highlights of the year for the orchestra, which includes some of the best young musicians from across Germany. On their second day in Beijing, they meet Zulan again and have their first rehearsal together.
Hello. Nice to meet you too. Hello.
It takes a bit of time for them to become attuned to the different notation, the unusual rhythms and harmonies.
1, 2, da. So this is 3.
Zulan has brought along Haspagen, who'll perform as a soloist on his horsehead fiddle. Here they're working on a piece called Mountain. Zulan wrote it for her ensemble and has now adapted it for a large orchestra. It's the orchestra's first encounter with Zulan's one-of-a-kind sound. Then comes the big moment. Zulan gives representatives from Deutsche Welle and the Youth Orchestra the first draft of her commissioned piece. It's to be a work in the spirit of Beethoven. It's called Amila, like Zulan's son. In Mongolian, Amila means to give life. Rehearsals will start in Bonn just days before the premiere. On the tour bus, Everyone's talking about the music.
It was really exciting, mainly because the composer was there and went through every single note with our conductor.
We had a hard time with it at first because we weren't sure what to do from a technical point of view. We didn't understand everything the composer wanted, but that wasn't only her fault.
The highlight was the horsehead fiddle, of course. Most of us have never seen anything like it.
The next day, part of the group goes on a special tour of Beijing. Zulan shows them around Gulu, an area north of the Forbidden City. Its drum tower dates back to the 15th century. The drums were used to announce the hour and signal when to shut the city gates at night. Next to the tower is a hutong, a traditional residential area. Here the old and the new China meet. A few of the houses that haven't been torn down are now to be preserved for residents and tourists. Zulan's explanations are interpreted by Uchan, a violinist with the youth orchestra. This small house is home to an entire family. One of the musicians asks how many people that would be. In the past, it could have been a lot. But Zulan reminds them that these days, China has a one-child policy. They take a farewell photo and look forward to performing together in less than 2 months in Germany. But for now, the youth orchestra is concentrating on its tour of China. They take time out to visit the Great Wall, a UNESCO World Heritage Site and a must-see. It once covered thousands of kilometers. Today, only a few sections are still walkable. The group is already looking forward to tonight's performance at the new concert hall in Beijing.
I went to a concert there once. The hall is enormous and has a huge seating capacity. I'm looking forward to playing there. I never would have thought we'd play in such an important concert hall.
The music hall is located in the National Center for the Performing Arts. The prestigious building was designed by French architect Paul Andrew. The first concert of the tour opened with soloist Herbert Schuck on the grand piano.
It's fantastic. Yeah, particularly the young, player did a very good performance.
It's very good, I think. And the performer, they are very young, and that's they act perfect.
Their music is as good as those grown-ups, those professional music in China or other countries.
The musicians are treated like pop stars, along with Konrad, the orchestra's mascot. After the concert, conductor Patrick Lange is in for a surprise. A kata scarf in bright blue, symbolizing the Mongolian sky.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Thank you.
The next morning, they take the bullet train. At speeds of more than 300 kilometers an hour, they travel south to Jinan. The capital of Shandong province, Jinan is located almost 400 kilometers from Beijing. With 3 million inhabitants, it's a small city by Chinese standards. Jinan is famous for its more than 90 springs and numerous parks with spring-fed lakes. It's a city that just keeps growing upwards. In Jinan, the young musicians get a taste of the real China. Away from the crowds of tourists, they're confronted with new sights, sounds, and smells. At the market, they come across some chicken feet.
All of this food is foreign to most Europeans. Here there are pig's heads, pig's hearts, pig's feet, and oh no, pig's lungs. That I really wouldn't eat. It's probably the most authentic Chinese food you can get here on the street. We had a briefing and we were told we shouldn't eat here. It'd be a disaster if an important section of the orchestra couldn't make the performance.
After spending 2 days in Jinan, they take a 4-hour train trip to Shanghai. Home to 20 million people, the city boasts China's tallest building, which is also the second highest in the world. Shanghai Tower soars 632 meters into the sky. Here in booming Shanghai, the skyline changes constantly. After settling in at their hotel, the young musicians start preparing for the evening's concert.
The air here is completely different than in Germany. I'm from the countryside where the air is even better than in the cities. No matter how deeply I inhale, I feel like I have only half my lung capacity and just can't put as much power into my playing as in Germany. That's true. You also notice the air is very humid here.
Most of these young musicians hope to make music their career.
I decided a long time ago I wanted to be a professional musician, in an orchestra, preferably in Germany. But I could also see going abroad too. Only about 30 positions open up in Germany each year, even though there are more than 100 violin graduates every year.
They're on their way to the obligatory photo op for Shanghai visitors at the Bund, a promenade with the skyscrapers of the Pudong financial district in the background. And in the evening, a boat ride on the Huangpu River.
Wow, here we are, in the heart of China, in a city you normally just know from TV. Pretty amazing.
Warming up for the Shanghai concert. The orchestra plays Prokofiev. The concert hall is known for its tricky acoustics, so the sound check is especially important. The musicians are starting to feel the effects of 8 days on tour through China.
You're all tired, but you shouldn't be. The stressful part is just getting started. We first have to do some fundamental orchestral work, which means listening to each other. That requires practice, and in a space like this one in Shanghai, with its very unusual acoustics, you have to shape and react, and that's something you have to practice.
Backstage, the concert will begin in a few moments.
We rehearsed this afternoon, so it's all fresh in our minds. I feel pretty confident, and I think the others do too.
Tonight's show also includes a special treat, a performance of Jasmine Flower, a traditional Chinese song.
They did a wonderful job, especially when you consider they really had to struggle with the acoustics today. They had to work really hard to get the sound we wanted. They did a wonderful job. Many orchestras would have just folded with the acoustics here. I'm very proud of you. You did a great job. Let's keep this up. Enjoy your pizza and have a great evening.
Lasst euch die Pizza schmecken und habt einen schönen Abend.
Their reward after a long day in Shanghai. September 2015 in Bonn. It's still warm and summery here in the third week of the Beethovenfest. The small university town along the River Rhine used to be the capital of West Germany, and music still holds pride of place here. This is Zulan's second time in Bonn. She's on the way to rehearsals for her new piece, Amila. The music recalls the dance of the shaman, through which the soul can be reborn. The orchestra plays the role of nature, the bushes and the mountains, while the musicians from the Mongolism band tell the story.
I think they already completely understand the music. Yeah, it's so great. I love you. Yes, so with many powers. Yeah.
What was really important for me is that my composition convey the power and spirit of Beethoven, and to bring that to life. That's what really inspired the sound of my work. So I can thank Beethoven for that.
It wasn't easy. You have all those unusual sound structures, which does make it harder. But it was a bit easier today than when we performed Mountain, probably because we'd already heard it, and we'd already met some of her band.
Lukas is especially impressed by the overtone singing.
And 这个地方用力。
Finally, the long-awaited premiere of Amila.
I felt like I could see the landscape, the mountains, the steppe, the sounds. I was blown away. It was exciting music with a lot of percussion, really intense and amazing.
I especially loved the horsehead fiddles.
Germany's National Youth Orchestra, the Mongolism Ensemble, and its star composer Zulan.
It's my great honor. I can join this project. I think it's the great project. Mix the different culture. So this wonderful day is a wonderful concert. The musicians plays wonderful.
A musical encounter spanning east and west, a treat for the senses. The experiment is a success.